welcome one, welcome all to Pit Road Productions this Monday night. If you live in the Americas, in the sort of Eastern time zone, it's time for the next round of the Elite Entertainment Sportscar Series. We're here at the Hockenheim Ring for what's sure to be a scintillating round of GT3 racing, and the track is looking mighty foggy out there. It is also a bit moist and drying out ever so slightly. Dry line forming on the circuit. There's just been some rain, so that's going to make things interesting for the drivers out there. Bringing it to you live is myself, Reese Gardner, with Daniel Zippy Salmon alongside me in the comms box, and also producing behind the scenes. Well, Zippy, back at it again for Elite Entertainment, this time at one of the premier racing venues in Germany. Should be some good overtaking opportunities at that very tight hairpin.
Yeah, for sure, Reece. Certainly, it's definitely not on my princess-approved track list, as we certainly like to laugh and joke here. Laguna Seca actually was, and then I had a little bit of a delay there with the iRacing update and walking the dogs. Fair to say, yeah, she's flat out of it at this point. She's definitely feeling pretty good about life right now, but certainly Hockenheim will indeed be a very good battle indeed. It takes me back of the one of the all-star races actually, where we got to see some of the champions going head to head like Quirk and Swallow, for example. I think Broadbent might have got in on that as well. Certainly some good talented people for sure. Let's see how talented these guys are. Certainly Hockenheim is indeed a challenging circuit. I believe it's one of the favorites of Morgan Smith as well, so we're gonna have to see how he does. And yeah, actually, speaking of the venue, let's see where we've gone and indeed where we are going to be going. Reece, take it away.
Yeah, so once we're done with Hockenheim, it will be roughly the halfway point of the season. We've been to Daytona, Long Beach, Mugello, and Laguna Seca, so Italy, the United States via Italy. And then after Hockenheim, we're going to go over to Belgium and then hop across the English Channel to Silverstone, back to Italy for Imola, then up to Norway for Rudskogen, and then back to the USA for Sebring to end off the season. It's a who's who of excellent tracks for GT machinery, and I'm looking forward to what the rest of the season brings. But for now, we need to keep our attention on Hockenheim, which is certainly a technical and difficult track. In terms of what's up for the action tonight, Parker Dime comes in as the championship leader. Dylan Newhard just behind him, though. Newhard having a very strong finish at Laguna Seca last week. Morgan Smith and Austin Diltz, they've had their fair share of issues in the last couple of rounds, falling off the back of Parker Dime ever so slightly. And we have it being quite close between ourselves at Pit Road Productions, apparently, and Scott Harrer as well for 12th in the championship. That's basically how things stand coming into this sixth round here, Zippy. Parker Dime is the man to beat.
Certainly he is indeed a absolute machine right now. Let's go take a look at him, Reece. He's there in that Mustang having an absolutely fantastic time. And as you said, it is indeed a little bit wet here today at Hockenheim. Let's see if we can take a little bit of a check here on the weather report. I know we've got a button for it here somewhere, Reece. Just bear with me, I'll try and find it. But certainly, yeah, it's honestly, it seems a bit weird being back in the production booth. I've not been as busy as I once was. Certainly, Rob Campbell certainly been in the hot seat for most of the time, and it's actually kind of nice to be back. You see Parker Dime there getting a little bit loose. You can see it's currently cloudy and about 18 degrees. So definitely a little bit of rain, definitely a little bit of a dry line. You can see it there very clearly on your screens, ladies and gentlemen. I wonder what happens if we take a more aerial view as well. Yeah, a little bit foggy there, ladies and gentlemen. So not quite the view I was looking for. What about a chopper cam? Oh yeah, there's a good demonstration. You can see. You can see right there, he is definitely staying on that dry line, and I've got to say, I can't fault him for it in the slightest.
Yeah, track is rated by the sim right now as very lightly wet, which means, you know, it's just about dry enough for dry tires. But you've got to be careful to stick on that very narrow dry line, which kind of disappears when you get to the hairpin. I think especially on lap 1, if these conditions hold through to the race, you're going to see a lot of drivers struggle for traction out of those slow corners, because not everyone is going to be on the ideal racing line on the first lap, maybe not even on the second lap either.
Yeah, certainly for sure. If you want to try and pass when it's a wet circuit, it is indeed going to be a very challenging set of circumstances here. Certainly, you know, we have got to wonder as well where she's going to be some of the best passing opportunities. But let's see if we can find somebody. See if we can find someone to get maybe an onboard lap here with Reese. Let's see if we can find a volunteer or give somebody who's going to be voluntold, as it were.
Hockenheim finding his way through the final couple of corners, electing not to practice a pit stop for this. Only got a few seconds left to start his final run here. Currently fourth in the session. Jacob Quayle is the fastest in qualifying right now. And this is a bit of a huge difference to what we've seen in previous rounds. Parker Dime has been the dominant driver in this championship since the new season started. I think this is the first time I haven't seen him on top.
Yeah, certainly it has indeed been Parker Dime, who's been an absolutely a dominating fellow here, one of the WBM guys. Actually, WBM pretty much slam dunk in that championship right now. But there is somebody who is here to challenge him, and I want to say he's one of the recruits we brought over. And we've got to see exactly who he's got on for a paint this time, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly Dylan Newhart, very, very colourful when it comes to the paints. I'm honestly, I think that's Mr. T, but by all means, correct me if I'm wrong. We had Steve Harvey already.
I think it might be Jamie Foxx.
Oh, maybe. It could be Jamie Foxx. We'll have to get a bit of a better look at that a little bit later on, ladies and gentlemen.
LeBron James.
Oh, LeBron. See, I wouldn't have got that anyway. Not a sports guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not either. And I could even be wrong about that. So we'll see if it was a shoot for the goal or a complete dunk on us in terms of our guesses. That was early morning attempt at a pun that was decidedly caffeine free, which is probably why it was so bad. Ryan Gleason in 7th place for the moment. Flat out through the kink and slow it down through the second sector of the lap. Get ready for the stadium section, the final part of this fantastic circuit, but he's not going to get the opportunity to do it. It's over. Qualifying is done, and that means it is time to go for the grid here. Jacob Quayle, first driver who isn't Parker Dime or a WBM racing car to start on pole position. Austin Diltz going to start alongside him, though. And Morgan Smith and Parker Dime are right there with him. Dylan Newhart, 5th, with Dustin Neerhoof, the newest driver to the series, starting in 6th place. Ryan Gleason and Drew Trader on your 4th row, with Adam Capps and Cayman Lackney rounding out the top 10.
As we have a look at P11, we're going to have Kyle Shelton there alongside Cal Mangori with Fozzie Pazzillo in P13. Ladies and gentlemen, P14 sees us with Luis Rios and Scott Harron 15th, with Anthony Roses closing out your top 16. Oh, absolutely fantastic stuff here, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, I do have a feeling we're going to see a little bit of fuel strategy kicking in as well. So it looks like Ryan Gleason's decided to go off the line for a second there. But definitely good to be back here in the production booth. Certainly, it seems very alien at this point, and I'm honestly, it's I've been going for quite a summer here, Reese, and honestly, it's been quite refreshing actually. I'm looking forward to gearing up and getting geared back up again for the fall season for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It's things are going to start really ramping up at some point, but it's good to have you back in here, Zippy, and I'm sure we'll have a fun time calling the action here at the Hockenheim ring as cars load on to the grid. Hopefully my timing is working, and it is, thank goodness. Managed to get that sorted out just in time. I think we won't be using those blimp shots very much here, at least while the weather is like this, because you cannot see the cars at all from all the way up there. As The gridding time is done and the drivers roll away. A moment to thank our title sponsor. Are you ready to turn your event into an unforgettable experience? At Elite Entertainment, they bring superior quality that keeps the dance floor packed. Whether it's a wedding, corporate event, private parties, karaoke, or music bingo at your local venues, their professional DJs know how to set the perfect vibe. They cover Western North Carolina and Upstate South Carolina, so book now and let Elite Entertainment make your event memorable. Thanks to Elite Entertainment for sponsoring this incredible series. And a short formation lap, Zippy, here at Hockenheim. We're going to get started pretty quickly.
All right, guys, definitely going to be a good one here. We're going to have Austin Diltz and Jacob Quayle fighting it out on the front row. Certainly going to be interesting to see, can Quayle hold off the almighty, that number 14, that Ford Mustang, ladies and gentlemen. Morgan Smith putting the Audi surprisingly up onto third place. Certainly the Audi we have notoriously seen be a little bit of a overshoot hot shot there. Certainly that and the Corvette, both of these cars prone for oversteer. Now we have to wonder, is it going to work out for him? Is the oversteer actually being beneficial here at this circuit? Hockenheim, as they're getting ready to go around one of the final corners, the pace car is coming in. It's going to be Jacob Quayle in that Chevrolet Corvette, the number 9. He's going to get ready to gear out. Austin Diltz is going to be on the outside as they're getting ready to go. You can see the wet line is already there, and it looks like Quayle's actually going to start on the wet line very quickly. They go down into single file. The whole field of cars looking to get into single file, get these tires back up to temperature as they make their way through turn 1. Absolutely fantastic stuff we can see here. Jacob Quayle currently got the lead. Austin Diltz very much applying some pressure. All of these drivers in single file. No incidents to report as Diltz makes a move. Quayle's gone a little bit wide there, and it's certainly saying he's caught him out, and Parker Dime now making his way past. And that's no, I say that. Quayle's gone loose. Diltz has gone loose. My apologies. Absolute chaos in the order. Morgan Smith moves up to the top spot here at Hockenheim.
He certainly does. My goodness. Fantastic job from Kyle Shelton to move things along here. Morgan Smith, Parker Dime, Dylan Newhard, your leaders as oh, he gets off over the curb, does Morgan Smith, and around he goes.
Definitely unfortunate, but Parker Dime is therefore going to be back at it. Ladies and gentlemen, he's going to retake that lead. Certainly, we've seen a couple of incidents so far. Anthony Rosas, I believe, got caught in some action as well. As Diltz there getting caught into some action. He's now going up against it with Drew Trader, the complete Drew Trader, the traitor, I guess, against his Corvette. He switched out to the McLaren in this season, but how is it working out for him right now? Fozzie Fazzillo now trying to make a move. No, Fazzillo's in the R8. Who's that going wide? I think it's Cameron Lackney. Yeah, Lackney makes a move. Let's take a quick look at the replay.
Oh goodness me, Zippy! This is crazy. The damp track is not being anyone's friend right now. You go off that line even for just a moment, and the rear end's going to break free on you. It's largely the curbs and the runoff areas that are the big problems here. They are extra greasy in these wet conditions, so you got to make sure to stay off them. Unfortunately, we haven't seen many drivers totally succeed with that. Fozzie Fazzillo has towed to the pits. Unfortunately, it looks like we might have just about lost our first driver, and it looks like a problem for him coming out of the stadium section. That's a big smash.
Oh, definitely cold tires and that oversteer of the Audi definitely getting the better of him. Let's try and take a quick recap here in a few moments. Well, we'll say that we got a side-by-side battle here happening between Jacob Quayle and Ryan Gleason side-by-side. And you can see there, Gleason's going to be on the wet line. How is that going to have an effect as he comes down, ducks back in, and you can see Diltz cut off a little bit there. We've seen accidents here before. I can try to think, remember, I think it was this series indeed as well, Reese. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Diltz there able to hold on, but Gleason almost coming into a huge contact with number 14 Mustang.
Yeah, goodness me. Oh, excuse me.
Gesundheit.
Seems there's some moisture issues in my throat as well as out on track.
No comment.
Yes, well, look, honestly, coming into the braking zone there, that's the heaviest braking zone on the entire racetrack, so you do need to be incredibly careful in conditions as changeable as these with so little grip available. It's no wonder that drivers are having issues out there. But Austin Diltz has decided that Mustang has enough braking power to get around Ryan Gleason, and he's managed to nail it. It looks like the racing line is just dry enough for you to do that, but anywhere off it and you're in trouble.
Absolutely. It's almost like a little bit of a hot potato scenario. It's something you don't want to be the person holding it. So it looks like Adam Capps now. He's back in that McLaren, I believe. No, he's in a Corvette, ladies and gentlemen. That was Sheldon and Diltz.
Oh my lord. They are dropping like flies.
I think Morgan Smith's got caught up in something as well. Let's take a quick look here, catch up through the replays.
Yeah,
but this is what happened to Smith.
Oh, it's the runoff area again.
Oh.
They're pushing too hard.
And here's Diltz.
And it's just a case of, he caught the grass a little bit. Caught the grass and gravel. And then spun in front of everyone else coming down the straight and decided it's probably best to escape back to pit lane so that a bigger incident is not caused. Well, we have lost out of the running one of our fastest drivers, the other couple of our faster drivers, down the back of the field. Adam Capps, our league administrator, who started out this race with an end-of-line penalty, has worked his way back up to 11th and is looking to break into the top 10 with Scott Harrer up ahead of him. Sun's out. Hopefully, we see a bit more water being cleared so we can make that move.
Well, the end of line must have been for changing car. He used to be rocking that. Well, I think he started in the Corvette, then he went to the McLaren, and now he's back in the Corvette again. Let's see what's happened to Anthony Rosas. You see that BMW moving a little bit slow there, gets a little bit wet, and honestly, Reese, that to me looks like he has not put on the wet tires and is literally trying to limp that car around to pit road.
No, yeah, in fact, no one has the wet tires on. They're all running the dries.
One driver does.
Yeah, Fozzie Fazzillo. He's just, he came into the pits 1 and a bit laps ago and figured, some technical issues as well. He figured, I think, test out the wet tires at least to see if they work. But he does have to stay off the racing line on the straights to keep those tires cool. When you're running on the dry line, I mean, the wet tires, they've got deep tread and they're very soft, so they heat up incredibly quickly. There's a lot more friction for them. You also suffer a bit in terms of straight line speed as well, with a little bit more tread on the tire. So I don't know if that's the right decision for Fozzie. Maybe for short-term stability it is, but remember the track is going to keep drying with these conditions. It doesn't look like there's any extra rain on the way.
Oh, it's certainly home. Like you see, Drew Trader now getting into a little bit of a battle with Kyle Shelton. Is indeed the McLaren versus Mustang Transcendent Motorsports versus the Apex Optional Racing, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly Kyle Shelton, good to see him here in that brightly coloured paint. I believe his teammates with Lewis Rioth, who's a little bit further back, also rocking that Ford Mustang. Actually, one position behind, but about 6 seconds now. Ken Shelton managed to find a little bit more pace out of this mighty Mustang, as you see there, heading into the left-hander, kicking up a little bit of debris there as he heads down through the closing part of this track.
Yeah, got to be careful to stay off the curbs on the entry to corners here. Shelton's just done it there. And there's not much grip on the drag strip in the wet either, because there's so much rubber laid down there, so much oil that's soaked into the tarmac. You've got to be so careful in these conditions, and Adam Capps is the next one to overcome that limit and find himself in the wall on the start-finish straight. The Corvette with plenty of damage there. We'll see if he can get it rolling. It looks like he's been able to, but he will have some damage. Drew Trader, meanwhile, is going to be the next driver to get past Ryan Gleason. It looks like Gleason didn't have a great exit out of turn 3, and Trader just blasts past on the run up to the Spitzkehr hairpin.
Yeah, certainly it almost does feel a little bit, Reese, like it's a little bit of a slip and slide. Don't get me wrong, I mean, you pay a good admission to get through that kind of entertainment here locally at Atlantic Splash Playland, or whatever it's called. Certainly not too far from me, but definitely not what you want to do in a $500,000 or even multi-million-dollar race car. Certainly I'm not too sure on the value of these things, but it looks like Luis Rios now has caught up to a bit of a battle. Calvin Gorey just ahead. Now, Calvin, we saw in the Acura last season, he switched out to the Corvette, a more oversteery car, ladies and gentlemen, but how is it going to fare up against the Mustang? Certainly the Mustang has in more recent times shown a little bit of the goat here in the GT3 field.
Yeah, certainly. This is going to be interesting to see what the Mustang can do from here. Perth had a big water park once. The Great Escape closed years ago. Unfortunate. I do hope that we can get another one of those very shortly. But Rios chasing down Kalman Giori, who fought with Drew Trader for last season's title. Him and Lackney as well. Oh, no, I think Trader's had a problem. He's just let Gleason back past him. And I don't know if it's a spin. I think it might be. He goes a bit wide out of the final corner, catches the grass and gets into the wall. How many times have we seen drivers do that so far this race?
Yeah, definitely. If you can keep the car on the straight and narrow, that definitely seems to be the winning way of going right now. It looks like Morgan Smith did manage to make his way past Cameron Lackney. Let's take a quick look at that replay as well. Looks like it was a drag race down the start finish here, Reese, and Morgan able to get that done. Definitely not the race start he was looking for. It's been very much a boom or bust kind of race. Certainly the curbs do appear to be a little bit toxic there, as that is a piece, I'd say, missing from the back of Drew Trader. Oh, yeah. Yeah, looks like the rear bumper just gave up on the way out of turn one, and so did the rear wing. So Trader having a very tough trip back to pit lane from here. And Cayman Lackney, if I was in his position with Smith on the racing line alongside me, I would certainly back out. You have trouble going side by side through turn one anyway in the dry. So factor in wet conditions and it gets even worse. Well, right now we've got a view from the number 58 car of Morgan Smith. Again, a huge shout out to Mrs. Mo for being in the chat. She'll always be Mrs. Mo to me, as Morgan Smith absolutely blasts by, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, if you actually want to get some sewing stuff done, by all means, I don't know how best to describe this, but he has just started his own little sewing gig called, I think it's called Lock Stitches. I'll have to check my message logs and stuff like that, but he's going to be doing some custom embroidery and stuff like that. Think more like boat sails and boat seats and stuff like that. Think more that kind of thing. I don't know if he's got into the car interiors yet, but certainly by all means, we'll check him out. I'll try and get him to send me something so I can promote him a little bit there. Certainly been egging him on since day one, and as a result, I have sewing machines pop up on my Facebook marketplace feed. So thank you for that, Morgan. But definitely check him out. And if not, if you want to cheer on WBM, ladies and gentlemen, by all means, check out their merch store. Honestly, it's some really good quality gear. But we're going to have to table that discussion for a minute, as he has indeed caught up to the back of the number 10 of Luis Rios.
He certainly has. And Rios has Scott Hara up ahead of him. So could be potential here. 2 for 1 for Morgan Smith. Catch some slipstream through the Einfahrt Parabolica, and we'll find our way down to Spitzkehre once again, where we more or less rejoin the original layout of the Hockenheim ring for a brief moment. Some good pace in this Audi that Morgan Smith is driving. It does have a couple of dings and dents in it from the issues that he suffered earlier on in the race. Is there going to be an opportunity coming into this little arena section by the Mercedes grandstand? Well, Rios is certainly making gains on Hara, but it's going to be difficult to pass when they get into the stadium section. The track really narrows up through there.
Yeah, certainly they're going to have their work cut out for them indeed. As see Austin Diltz in the chat, Mustang had too much freedom in the rear end. That's definitely one way of putting it. There's a little bit of freedom there, a little bit of exploration is exactly what Morgan Smith does. Able to stay with the pack, thankfully, but right now it is a freeway sandwich. McLaren, Ford, and Audi, all the manufacturers, well, I say all the manufacturers, 3 of the manufacturers getting involved in this freeway fight, all going down for P8.
Yes, let's see who makes it through the exit of the final corner this time. Hara stays well off the curb. Rios doesn't hit it at all. And Morgan Smith keeps it nice and stable through turn 1. Just clipped the apex. That's a bit wide there for Hara, but it's worked out all right. And it looks like Fozzie Fazillo, lapped car, is their next target. There goes Smith up the inside of Rios. He tried. He almost got it done. Things are starting to get leery here. Harrow's caught on the wet side of the track there as he's had trouble getting past Fazillo. It looks like Fozzie might be helping his teammate out here.
Yeah, this is definitely getting interesting, Reese, and I got a feeling 3 wide in the wet is not going to end well. As yep, Fozzie, good move, backs right out of it. He'll give the all clear to Mo. Now, can Mo get the position cleared? I believe he has. Gets it done. Are we going to see an undercut though? Certainly Lewis Rios there hard on the gas pedal, absolutely smashes it. I say to the carpet, but to the floor. Come get some more. As Rios is hot in pursuit. Morgan Smith, however, trying to chase down the number 4 of Scott Harrer.
Man, this is a great battle. This is working out very nicely, this fight. Much entertained. Scott Harrer, he's had a good run here in the wet. Seems to really enjoy it. But Morgan Smith, I think, has finally gotten into the rhythm. He's gotten used to the conditions in the race fuel. A little bit wide of the apex, which you can do through that corner. It's banked. It allows you to carry a bit more speed. But Smith is clearly looking like he is in the zone.
Absolutely. He's certainly applying the pressure right now. Scott Harrer is going to be very aware of that. Now, Morgan Smith, he did start up at the front of the pack. He started in P3, and you don't get there purely by coincidence, ladies and gentlemen. You get there by talent, and that is exactly what the number 58 has got plenty of. But saying that, if he keeps getting off tracks, he may find himself a drive-through penalty. As he's not just off the track, he is mowing the grass in this scenario. Is it going to be enough? Can he find a little bit of extra pace now to try and find his way up into P8?
You know, when the track is slightly wet, those curbs on the exit of turn 1, they are super slippery. I think Smith was trying to get back onto the track, but the car just wasn't cooperating with him. Those fronts had no grip at all. Let's see what Scott Harrer can do here to continue to keep him behind. Searching for advantages and weaknesses between these two drivers, and it looks to me like Harrer maybe doesn't have as much confidence as Smith does, but by the same token, Smith tends to overstep occasionally, so they equal out very nicely. There's no room for Smith to get through there, so Harrer will stay ahead for at least one more corner. That's a tight line on the way in, though. Smith might be able to get the run, to say nothing of Luis Rios, who definitely wants that position back. Harrer going slow there on the exit of the corner. He lets both of them go.
Yeah, I definitely want to see a replay of that, because that was, like, I was a little bit taken aback here. Let's see exactly what happened here to Scott Harrer. He just, I guess he just went off the line, I guess, a little bit, and just it was enough to slow him down and got absolutely mugged by the pair of them. Morgan Smith, though, I am worried about his incident point limit right now.
Yeah, I am too. I'm a bit worried for basically everybody. It's difficult to keep your incident count down when you're constantly having trouble even keeping it on the racing surface. Well, Rios and Smith finding their way through on Harrer. Didn't have a great lap there. And now that there's no one in front of Morgan Smith, it looks like he's going to jet away. Fozzie Fazillo with an issue. He just caught the curb between the second last and last corners, and some good avoiding action from, I think that might have been Cayman Lackney.
Certainly, yeah, Cayman Lackney, it was indeed. But I got to admit, Fozzie, I feel for him. He's definitely not having the best race today, but in fairness, he does look pretty damn good doing it. I'm loving the blue and white paint scheme. Certainly, Mo does a fantastic job with the paints at WBM. I do prefer these original ones, honestly, a bit more than the newer style that they got on the Mustang. But I think Fozzie rocking those gold wheels for me yet again, and power to him. He's still rocking that Audi, so keep in it, Fozzie. Certainly a lot could indeed happen in this race. We're only about 16 minutes in, with about half an hour left to go.
Yeah, Fazillo's still the only driver to take the wet tyres. I think the dries are certainly the faster tyre to be on. Parker Dime on the dry, and working things through very nicely. We got a new fastest lap of the race, though. Dylan Newhard with a 1:37.69. That's a couple of tenths out of Parker Dime's 5.6 second gap. So you never know. We might see something similar to what we saw at Laguna Seca last week, where Newhard and Dime were battling for victory. We still have a pit stop coming up as well, don't forget. So another little fold into this complex race. Ryan Gleason on the back of Kyle Shelton. Whoa. What Shelton will be able to do here. One of the biggest gainers in the field, up 6 positions, and Ryan Gleason trying desperately to hold on to his position in the top 6.
Yeah, certainly he has indeed got his work cut out for him. Gleason's been pretty handy here in the rain. Don't get me wrong, he may only be up one position, but he's certainly not holding it back. He's doing a good job in that Ferrari. His kids actually did the paint, and I was really touched by it the first time we saw it. It's just, you know, it was artistic, but actually kind of pleasing in its own right. As you see there, Gleason getting a much tidier line. Is he going to be enough, though? He's got Kalman Gory just 1.3 seconds behind him. If these guys fight too hard, they may find it becomes a three-way battle for P5.
Yeah, Kalman is finding pace behind them. 138.5 on the last lap for the Corvette. These two on screen, though, setting 1 minute 40s, 1 minute 41s. Parker Dime is responding nicely up the front to Dylan Newhard's pace. He's just taken the fastest lap back, and then Newhard takes it right back. They're down to 37.4s up the front of the field. The track is getting faster, so maybe that's going to help a couple of the drivers in this battle, as Giori has caught right up to Gleason and Shelton.
Yeah, Gory's going to be keen to get in on that action for sure. As you see a little bit of an off-track there from Kyle Shelton. Is this going to be the opportunity that Ryan Gleason has been waiting for? Clearly, off-tracks are indeed a huge thing here today. That little bit of rain causing enough to really upset things. But Reese, I've got to bring your attention. We knew it was close to the front of the field, but look just how close, ladies and gentlemen. It is not even a hundredth of a second in it.
Yeah, this is incredibly close. Incredibly close indeed. We've got our first scheduled pitter of the night. Scott Harrer has brought it in his McLaren for aerokinetics. So let's see if he can deal with some fresh rubber and maybe a little more stability in the car as well, with more fuel back in the rear end of it. Here comes Giori, having a little look up the inside of the hairpin. Okay, Shelton having some connection issues there. That's not going to fill Gleason with too much confidence. Drew Trader is going to follow Scott Harrer into pit lane, and I think he'll be grateful for getting a new front and rear end on that McLaren.
Yeah, it definitely was beaten hard and put away wet, certainly with this rain. But right now, Gleason is he's looking to make some moves. He's got to be careful. Does he want to attack the Mustang? Does he want to defend from the Corvette? He is very heavily outnumbered by these American V8 machines, ladies and gentlemen. Can the Ferrari fight them off?
That is the question. The mid-engine Ferrari should handle quite nicely in the wet, but I think the front-engine Mustang is probably one of the best cars to have in wet conditions, and the Corvette certainly looks strong here as well. Look at that run from Giori out of the stadium section, but he is going to take the opportunity to come into the lane. He realizes, hey, it's probably going to cost me a lot of time trying to find my way past Gleason. If I want to really jump them, pit now, undercut them, and we'll see what we can do from there.
There we go. He popped up on camera eventually, ladies and gentlemen, so we're going to see just how close it's going to be. Maybe this is a bit of a relief, though. This could be the opportunity that Gleason's been waiting for. He doesn't have to worry about the 71 of Kalman Gory right behind him. He can focus on that Mustang ahead, albeit that poorly connected Mustang, ladies and gentlemen.
Not ideal in terms of connection quality for the number 21. Well, he's managed to get a bit of extra gap over Ryan Gleason, so I think he'll be safe for now. But one mistake, well, hey, right on cue. One mistake, and that brings Gleason right back into it. They've got to be careful to avoid the white lines and the curbs here. They get so slippery in the wet conditions. The only place you should be is on those train tracks that form the racing line at the moment, and Gleason goes wide again, and that's going to give a couple of seconds to Kyle Shelton. I think he's going to be safe for now.
Well, I've got to admit, Kalman Gory seems to be in the pits for a very, very long time. A minute and 13 seconds. He is still showing up as being on the dry tyre, so I definitely got to wonder what exactly happened to him in there. Did he maybe get an unsafe pit entry? We'll have to take a look very shortly, try and figure out exactly what happened to the number 71 car. It's absolutely pummeled him through the field. The normal pit times we're looking for vary from between. We got actually Adam Capps to the 7-second pit earlier on. I'm not quite sure that's 100%, as it's showing that he has indeed retired from the race from what I can see here. Breeze, correct me if I'm wrong, but normal pit times we're looking at about 12.2 seconds up to about 14.8. So I have a feeling we're going to be seeing somewhere in the 11 to 12 second mark for some of the front runners here.
Yeah, it's looking like it. So Kalman Giori did not speed into the pits. In fact, he came into the pits 20 k's an hour under the speed limit. Actually, did he? Yeah, he did. But what did happen was he turned for the pits a bit late, and he actually cut across the little green apron where the pit lane diverts from the racetrack. I think that would have been enough for a penalty there. This was just after that happened, so he comes into the pits at 60 k's an hour and goes back up to 80. But it's when he comes off the racetrack that I think it really happened.
Yeah, I'll see if I can get him a little bit further back for you, Reese. Oh, yes. Maybe not.
I mean, it was only borderline, but he definitely cut across the apron. Here we go. So right there, you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was across that green painted asphalt, and at Hockenheim, that means that you are not in the good books of the virtual stewards. So that's not ideal for Kalman Giori. Unsafe pit entry, adding some time to his pit stop. Unless it was a completely different issue and we're just speculating for nothing. I know that's certainly happened in the past.
Well, certainly we don't indeed get it wrong every time. But ladies and gentlemen, we are joined by one of WBM's finest, number 14, the Ford Mustang of Austin Delts. Now, Austin, definitely not the race you were looking for. Tell us a bit about the conditions out here at Hockenheim today.
Yeah, they were changing from wet to dry, and there was a dry line forming, so everyone went with the kind of sketchy dry tires, and my lead foot got the best of me twice, 2 laps. So decided to stop myself and sign off for the evening.
Yeah, it definitely is a very challenging set of conditions, but right now we can see your teammate, your comrade, your brother from another mother, as he's just gone a little bit wide there, taking the Austin Dilts line through that corner, albeit flamboyant, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly Kyle the Bald Eagle machine would definitely embrace such antics if he wanted to take flight. But I've got to say, Austin, what would be your strategy here for this kind of race?
It's definitely a technical track, but like you were saying earlier, there's a lot of passing spots, passing zones, and I think it's just about, if you're trying to pass here, filling up a mirror and making the guy get nervous and make a mistake. But right now, Parker just needs to keep it clean and hope Dylan doesn't get a burst of brilliance in the last couple laps.
Well, that's definitely fair. Certainly Dylan Newhart, a driver to keep an eye on. We're not 100% sure who's on his paint today. Maybe you can enlighten us on that. You've got the production feed there if you want it, Austin. By all means, join in and take a look. But we're not too much in the sporting kind. I have a feeling you might be more inclined for that.
LeBron James.
Yeah, it is LeBron. It is LeBron. I was right. There we go.
I got no idea who LeBron James is, guys. I'm obviously not a sporting guy. But Austin, while we got you in here, why don't you tell us a little bit here about WBM?
Oh man, we're just a collection of friends who enjoy racing. Really, there's no rules or regulations to join. Just have to click with the guys that we have, and we run a bunch of leagues. We've got one of our drivers, Malik, is I think he's in 6 leagues for 6 different days. So a lot of our drivers get a lot of driving in.
Well, he's definitely, I know Malik, he's a married man, ladies and gentlemen, and I guess the reason that marriage is successful is because she never sees him, ladies and gentlemen, but definitely not wanting to give advice. Actually, Reese, you was just telling me it's your anniversary as well. So again, a huge congratulations to Reese Gardner, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly, he's managed to keep successfully in a relationship for 3 years. I've got maybe 3 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly make your jokes as if you feel free, as if I'm not even there. But Austin, we should probably let you go unless you'd like to share a little bit more. Why don't you? I'll tell you what. Why don't you have a crack at trying to commentate some of this? I know you said you wanted to give it a whirl. How about it, bud?
Oh man, I don't know. After my wrecks, I had to take 2 quick hits of Mary Jane to ease the pain. You know.
Fair enough.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
I'll leave it to you professionals, but thank you for the opportunity, guys.
Austin Dilts, ladies and gentlemen. This week sponsored by Bob Marley as Kyle Shelton makes his way down pit road.
Have a good night, guys. Speaking of good ganja, that Mustang is looking decidedly green as he makes his way into the lane. That's Kyle Shelton pitting out of P6, P5.
P6
Morgan Smith. Yes, P6 finding his way out of there. Jacob Quayle completing his stop as well. The man who started on pole position for this race. An excellent qualifying performance on a very wet track, and unfortunately the switch to dries on the drying track didn't work out as well for him as it did for others. Still, he's out there in P5 at the moment and leading the cars that have pitted. I think he could be on for a fourth here. He might be battling with Morgan Smith for that final position in the top four.
As we say that, Parker Smith now making his way down pit road. Certainly Morgan Smith, if he can get into the pits, he would benefit from it. Dylan Newhart not too far behind. He's just brought down LeBron James down pit road. I'm trying to remember, actually, I think it was Steve Harvey where we were joking the front was inside Steve Harvey. Ah, yes. Fond memories, ladies and gentlemen. As Dustin Newhoff makes his way down pit road.
Yeah, Dustin Newhoff here. He only joined the league last round at Laguna Seca and quickly proved himself a reliable competitor. So we'll see what he can do to hold on to that third place. Dime and Newhart both completing their stops there. Dime with 0.6 of a second faster pit stop time than Newhart. A little bit less fuel being taken for the WBM Mustang versus the LeBron James Corvette. Sorry, it's a Porsche. Newhart is driving a Porsche. There we go. Morgan Smith, meanwhile, in the pit lane. Did you see that bump?
I can't say that I did. I'll be honest, Reese, but I have complete confidence in you. That was very weird. We can have another.
That was very weird. Like, going through the pit lane just there, Morgan Smith went over what seems to be a bump in the road. The replay cut in just after it. I saw the front end go a bit high. Very interesting indeed. All right, let's take another look at it here. So Smith coming into the lane, 80 km/h speed limit, and wait for it. Yeah, there's a few bumps. There we go. Yeah, all right. At that seam in the road, apparently, there's quite a sizable bump. I didn't realize that about this circuit.
Maybe that's just Mo's ego dragging on the ground, ladies and gentlemen. We've not ruled that out. He certainly is a man and a machine, but he's not the bold eagle machine that is reserved indeed for Kyle Mills. I do love as well how we've actually, instead of commentating on the race at this point, we're just kind of, just shouting at our buddies at this point, because it depends exactly what's happening. As I say that, Morgan Smith, something has indeed happened to him. Let's find out. I've just seen a crash warning for him. I do believe he was watching it live as well. Let's find out exactly what happened. Fresh out of the pits. Maybe that bump did indeed adjust his undercarriage a little bit. Maybe a little bit of cold tires as he goes off the track slightly. Gets a little bit of a tank slapper, but thankfully able to keep that car well under control. And now in a battle with Brian Gleason and indeed Kyle Shelton.
So, the tyres would have cooled down on that trip through the pit lane. They wouldn't have been changed because that would bring you in the pits for about 30 seconds if you wanted to change tyres. So Morgan Smith dealing with tyres that have lost a bit of their heat through that pit cycle, and maybe the extra mass with the extra fuel being taken, lengthening his braking distance a bit too much for his liking. But he has successfully found his way past both Gleason and Shelton in the pit cycle, despite Gleason and Shelton both having quicker pit stops.
Hey, actually, if I have a look at it, Reese, Gleason was the fastest person through the pits, just over 13 seconds. Shelton just a smidge more than that, a tenth in it. As it looks like Anthony Rhodes, poor guy, he's having a rough race today. Currently sat back in P13. It's telling me he's had a little bit of a whoops. I don't really want to do it to him, but I owe it to you, the viewers, to find out exactly what happens to that BMW.
Well, as we see him come into the stadium section, Kalman Giori up behind him, and oh dear. Yeah, it's a combination of Giori being aggressive and Rosas, I think, massively underdriving the car. Rosas has never quite been able to match the pace of many others in this field, but what I will say to his credit is that he doesn't give up. He keeps going to the very end, and you usually see him at the checkered flag in this league, and that is something to be admired.
Absolutely, certainly, you got to keep in it for sure. You got to keep in it. You can't give up at the first hurdle, and indeed, it's a lot happens to a lot of drivers, actually. You know what? They go into a race, all of a sudden it's a bit overwhelming, it's a bit much, and it can be a bit overwhelming, honestly. Like, it can be quite daunting. I mean, it all depends on the field that you run in, but that's where actually in some ways that the officials are kind of good, because in theory that kind of balances you out, certainly. And it swings and roundabouts. Leagues, you'll always find, certainly most people always find, there's always somebody quicker And you know, you can aspire to match that or even be better than that, or you can just go and find someone within that league who is of your own skill level. And generally, I think that's where leagues actually do better. Certainly yourself, you're a pretty capable driver. What would be your kind of take on this?
Yeah, you know, I mean, officials, I find officials great, but they are a bit luck of the draw sometimes. You, especially in the more populated series, you tend to lose that sense of community. But the big thing about leagues is, and I've been racing in leagues since like 2009, so you know, I've been around the block a few times. Being able to race against the same drivers every week, talk to them, learn from them, learn about them, it's so valuable. And I think you end up becoming a better driver for it, because you're not just looking at setup shops and telemetry apps and stuff like that to find pace. You're actually talking to people. You're finding out how they're doing it. They can word things in a way that makes sense to you, and you know, you can become friends through sim racing leagues as well. I still regularly talk to and race with people that I first encountered over 10 years ago, all thanks to league racing.
Yeah, I can definitely, honestly, if you think about sim racing as more than just racing as well, like I recently had the pleasure of meeting somebody who I've been sim racing against and then commentated on, and it's fair to say I was shocked when he was a foot taller than me. I guess you know, play with Gerard. I don't know if we spoke since I commentated, but play with Gerard. I got to meet him in person. He came down here to Atlantic Canada with the Super Production Challenge, and I got to commentate the whole event in real life. Biggest one since 1985 at the venue. So I'll definitely take that action. But certainly, you know, there's a lot more to sim racing than just, you know, pedaling the car around the track. But that's exactly what Ryan Gleason is doing right now. And it looks like Carl Shelton starts to apply a little bit of pressure there and maybe get a battle here for P5. And that's exactly what Shelton is doing. Side by side now. Shelton is ahead. Gleason leaving all of the room. Is this going to open up an opportunity now? Is Gleason going to be able to fight back as they make their way down towards the right-hander?
Pick up the slipstream. He's not quite close enough for an outbraking maneuver. And it looks like he even lifted off the power a bit just to ease his entry into the hairpin. That all started when Gleason ran a bit deep in turn 3 and clambered over the curbs. Still incredibly slippery. And they're going to find Dustin Neerhoof for very close company shortly. Neerhoof as well. I think he suffered the same issue that Kalman Giori did. 54.1 seconds stop. That tells me that Neerhoof as well maybe had an unsafe pit entry.
You know, I'm all for guys learning from my sim racing antics, but making an unsafe pit entry probably isn't the winning strategy, ladies and gentlemen. We'll try and get a replay of that pit entry very shortly for you. But we're going to stay with this battle for right now. We've got about another 10 minutes left to go. Shelton has managed to make his way past Ryan Gleason. He's up currently, actually, the second hardest charger in the field. Scott Harrah would be the first. He's up 7 positions right now. But can Shelton make a bit of a breakaway? He's got, well, as I say that, Neerhoof's gone a little bit wide there. I was going to say he was going to be a potent threat, but that Corvette running wide in the final corner.
Yeah, still very much a danger. You can see that there's rubber being laid down on the dry line now too, so there's more grip available, but the line is still very fine between grip and no grip. So Neerhoof, I think, might have to dial it back a bit if he wants to find his way past these two. Neerhoof actually improving on his starting position, or hoping to. Started in 6th. And running 7th at the moment. Yeah, pit speed was all right, but yeah, I think once we get this replay where we want it to, I think we'll see Dustin Neerhoof cut across that triangle of green painted asphalt on the way into pit lane, and that is what's given him an incredibly long stop. Here we go. Oh yeah.
Bang,
oh
bang.
yeah. Oh. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right where that line goes across the track, where pit lane splits from the racetrack, you have to be to the right of that little division there. If you're on it in any way, then the system flags it as an unsafe entry. You've got to commit early, and it's hard to figure out how hard to push in wet conditions. congratulations. Speaking of, there goes Neerhoof. As it looks like, I thought for a second Gleason was going to come into pit lane there, but it looks like he wasn't.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. I think he kind of just backed out of that. Let's take a quick look at the replay, see exactly what happened here from the point of view here. That's like he
looks
backed
like,
right out.
yeah, I think he might have been having some stability issues in the penultimate corner there. Yeah, oh yeah, I think he might have been letting Neerhoof by. Potentially got a slowdown or something like that. Or I have no idea. In any case, Ryan Gleason letting Dustin Neerhoof go. And now Kyle Shelton will be looking in his mirrors and seeing a bright green Corvette bearing down on him. Neerhoof is looking rather quick. 138.8 on the last lap. Compare that to a 139.3 for Kyle Shelton. That 126 machine has pace.
Yeah, certainly if you take a quick look, actually, Neerhoof has absolutely been reeling him in. You can see there, last lap 5 tenths, before 4 tenths, another second before that, another second again on lap 19. He is absolutely hoofing it.
I was waiting for that one as he makes the move up the inside into the stadium section, but he's gone deep over the curbs. Looks like it's just dry enough for him to keep control of it. And hooks up the apex of the left-hander very nicely. Dustin Neerhoof is through into 5th place. Excellent job.
Well, the question you're going to wonder is, can he make up any more spots? Well, I'd say probably not at this point. The next car on the chopping block would indeed be this man, Morgan Smith, who's currently riding in P4. It's definitely been a rough race for him, but what a recovery to make it all the way up to P4. Jacob Quayle, he's down 2 positions there. He's in P3. You got Dylan Newhart. He's about 6-7 seconds back away from your race leader and indeed your championship leader, Mr. Parker Dime.
Yeah, Parker Dime is continuing to show why he is in the championship lead here. He's got supreme pace. Has lost the fastest lap of the race to Dylan Newhart, but could potentially gain it back as the track continues to dry here. And they'll be coming across the line in just a few moments' time. 137.6 from Dime at that time round. Newhart hasn't quite been able to match that. 137.5 actually on this lap. It was a good improvement there from Newhart. Shelton, his time's not quite able to match Dustin Neerhoof, but staying in touch with the Corvette and the Slipstream could still be a top 5 on the cards if everything goes his way.
Yeah, definitely. If he can stay in that slipstream, it's going to be nothing but beneficial for him. It's fair play. Neerhoof has had absolutely incredible pace in the closing stages of this race, but right now has not been able to shake the toe of that Ford Mustang, that blinking Ford Mustang, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly keen to try and stay up with him. I don't know if he's going to have enough. He's just dropped back about another 2 tenths through that last couple of corners. This may have indeed broken the toe, but certainly fair play. Staying in the draft is one thing. Making your way past is indeed another.
Not much time left to get those moves done as Anthony Rosas comes into the pits for what looks to be the 4th time in this race. It looks like he might have accidentally missed his pit box there. Actually, hang on. No, his pit box was back there, and he's towed back to it. There's been a problem there for the number 12. Hopefully he can get back out onto the racetrack, and we can see a little bit more from the BMW, the sole BMW in the field. But one little bit of drama extra towards the end of this event. 3.5 minutes left on the clock.
We should just be grateful here, ladies and gentlemen. There's no AMG Mercedes on the track. Certainly in these conditions, I have one feeling it would have been, and it would have been upside down, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly rain. Not my strongest skill set for sure, especially in a GT3 car. Certainly not been doing that much driving, but I did have a good race on Sunday, actually. Managed to get a P3 in class driving a spec racer Ford of all cars there. Reese, obviously a very biased opinion on how I feel about that car.
Yeah, we all have our preferences. I can't let go of my trusty Mercedes when it comes to GT3. Mustang does seem to be the car of choice up the front of this field here. Parker Dime with a little wiggle on the way out of the hairpin, obviously still trying to find a little bit of extra grip. I think the track is dry enough for some super fast lap times. Checking the weather, iRacing officially classing the track as dry now, but there's still some standing water a little off the racetrack here in these runoff areas, which you do need to be careful of.
Yeah, definitely want to try and stay on the solid asphalt. We'll get a little bit of heat into there, but look at all that debris as well in that infield section now. Obviously, a few people have been taking a few trips through the sand, but certainly if we compare it to earlier, we'll go back to the helicam. There is definitely a dry line, but the whole track overall definitely a lot drier than it was at the start of this session.
Yeah, you almost can't see the dry line anymore. Only really see it properly down the start-finish straight there, with the track just a little bit darker off to the right there, and through turn 1, which you don't see anyone taking the outside line in. You see it a little bit more there as well. Narrows up ever so slightly, and we will bring our way through to turn 3 and turn 4. Across the curb, it seems those curbs are usable now. Enough water has been taken off them that the drivers can actually drive over them. Parker Dime looks like technically will have the last lap to complete now. My timing is showing half a lap to go, so we'll see if Dime can pull off the victory here on this lap, or we have to wait for another.
Oh dear, something's happened to Luis Rios. It looks like he's maybe got a little bit loose there, but Drew Trader able to find his way by. Let's find out what happened to that number 10 car, that Ford Mustang, as he makes his way through the left-hander. Oh,
it was a sudden direction change plus a little touch of that curb that sent him around there. And I think Drew will be happy to finally find another position on track after what's been a very difficult race for him. But the last few corners are upon us here. Well, there's 30 seconds remaining on the timer, so I think Dime might be able to make it across the line in time to begin another lap here. So it looks to me like it's going to be one more lap here at the Hockenheim ring.
White flag.
Parker Dime.
Well, we did indeed see Barney was not on strike today. That white flag being waved, as Anthony Rosas is definitely still here in the pits. Definitely a few people retiring here today. It looks like for 16 cars, we've maybe lost 3, if not 4 of them, ladies and gentlemen, as we're getting ready for this race to come to an end. Looks like Dustin Neerhoff is actually starting to catch up to the back of Morgan Smith.
Could be a change for 4th here. One more lap to go. As we find our way through here.
There we go.
For any potential, as they now take the white flag for Morgan Smith and Dustin Neerhoff to work out this battle for 4th place. Neerhoff is so incredibly aggressive into the corners there. And I think Morgan Smith might be in a bit of trouble if the Corvette has anything to say about it coming into the hairpin. But Parker Dime... Yeah, things starting to get leery here between these two. But Parker Dime is about to negotiate the final couple of corners. It's going to be another win on the cards here for Parker Dime in the WBM Mustang as he takes victory at the Hockenheim ring. Smith is going to continue defending from Dustin Neerhoff. But a good exit out of the hairpin for the Audi is going to give him the advantage coming into the second half of the lap.
Well, right now he is finally thinking a little bit of Bon Jovi, ladies and gentlemen, and say he has got to hold on to what he's got. As I say that, he's just gone around full 360. 360, what's the next one up? 420, ladies and gentlemen. A little bit of a bump there, and Kyle Shelton's going to find his way around as well. Definitely not how he wanted it to happen. P4 though, I do wonder about his incident points as well, as he's gone around again, ladies and gentlemen. Scott Harrow, thankfully, a good 22 seconds back. Let's take a quick look at that replay. Actually, before we do that, let's give Parker Dime a little bit of recognition here as he brought it over across the checkered flag.
Yeah, he certainly did a brilliant job from the WBM Mustang. He mastered those conditions despite not starting at the front for the first time this season. Dime was able to pull off another victory, and it looks like, I think that might have been Gleason there that pulled over at the start-finish line to let him go so he didn't have to do another lap. Here's what happened with Morgan Smith and Dustin Neerhoof. And you're right, Smith did exceed the incident limit, and he has a black flag to his name now. No contact, it was just getting unsettled off the curb there. Broke traction, and there was nothing he could do to recover.
Yeah, definitely. As much as I love Mario, I don't think that was anything to do with Neerhoff on that one. He was very much along for the ride, nothing he could do. But what a fantastic battle at the close of this race, Reese. But we should probably take a quick look here at the results.
Yeah, we certainly should. Parker Dime comes across the line in P1, followed by Dylan Newhart. It looks like that's going to be the story of the season here. Dime versus Newhart at the front of the field. Jacob Quayle, though, P3 after starting on pole position. What a fantastic performance from the number 9 Corvette. Yeah, top 3 should be very happy with the performance that they put on today. And, well, we will see.
Corey's run out of fuel.
Oh, yeah, he certainly has. Only just making it to the end there, but still a well-deserved P7 for the number 71. And it looks like with the post-race penalties applied for exceeding the incident limit, Morgan Smith has been put behind Giori. So not an ideal result for the number 58.
Well, I am hoping the results are going to show up now that Gory has indeed left the track. Certainly, it's taken its sweet-ass time, ladies and gentlemen, for lack of better words. But in the meantime, we can indeed catch up to some of these drivers. And we're going to catch up, Reese. I believe you managed to catch up with the one and only number 57 of Parker Dime.
Yeah, another win on the board for you this season, Parker. This time in more treacherous conditions than usual. I think the first time this season that you haven't started on pole.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to take it easy. I tried to do dry tires at first, so I spun out my out lap, so I switched back, and Jacob was able to put down a heater on the dry line. But yeah, I mean, I knew it was wet, so I wasn't really like upset with where I was starting, but it ended up again working out just fine.
Yeah, indeed. Especially through the early phases of the race, it must have been difficult. You know, figuring out where the grip was, because it's like you're driving on train tracks through this circuit in the wet. Going off that line to try and make those passes must have been treacherous.
Yeah, the dry line was pretty definitive, and the wet line was not bad for traction, but it sucked for braking. So you had to really stay to the racing line to, you know, be able to put down a decent lap time. Same with the curbs, like the curbs were wet at the beginning, and that's what took a lot of people out.
Yeah, indeed. Need to keep your car off those curbs for sure. Well, it's another solid run from you, Parker, and we're going to be staying in Europe for the next round of the series. I believe Spa is the next round, another track that we all know very well.
Yeah, I like Spa. I'm excited for it. I like it more than, I mean, I just bought Hockenheim, so to be able to pull off a result like this is huge, and I think the team should expect a pretty good result in all at Spa next week.
Anyone you want to thank before we let you go, Parker?
Thank Prime Motoring, WBM team, friends and family, my parents for birthing me, and you guys for putting on a great broadcast.
We would like to thank all of our parents,
and
otherwise literally none of us would be here, of course. Parker Dime there winning here at Hockenheim. A brilliant performance, to be sure. And I think, Zippy, the same can be said for Dylan Newhart. Looks like having LeBron on the car gave him a few extra tenths.
Yeah, certainly Dylan mixing it up with the paint again, and definitely fair to say he's paid off for you. Certainly we didn't get to make any dirty, inappropriate jokes about any of your other drivers being inside you or your car this week, but definitely a good place to be, though. Second step on the podium. Tell us a little bit about the conditions here today at Hockenheim.
Yeah, I mean, qualifying practice was really wet on wets, and then started to transition over to slicks during qualifying. I ran my qualifying on wets, and was not a good decision, I will say that, because towards the end, Jacob, my teammate, was like, this is definitely slick, so then proceeded to take pole by like 3 seconds. But yeah, and then the race start, everyone was taking curbs on cold, wet, on cold, slick tires and the wet, and I just happened to be able to avoid everything over on the grass there, and then just stayed there the rest of the race.
Definitely did seem like a very tense, very tight race, especially towards the start. It was very much a case of just try and find the grip if you could find it. Indeed, the standing water potentially a bit of a problem there. But tell us a little bit about what you got planned for next week when we head over to the Belgian track, which is also known as Spa.
I'm excited for that one. It's on the Princess Approved track list. It's not quite my favorite, but it is definitely on there. But yeah, I mean, it'll be good. I'm running the Spa 24 that following weekend after, so I'll be up to speed for sure.
Well, Dylan, certainly good to see you on the second step of the podium, but we are actually going to go and grab your teammate next, Mr. Jacob Quayle. Reese, I believe you've been able to catch up with the driver of the number 9 car.
Pole position, Jacob. It looks like you nailed those conditions.
Yeah, I think I was probably the only one on dry tires, so that definitely helped. And I just I was already on them for maybe 3 laps. I had warm tires and I was able to put a good lap down. But after that, I was just trying to survive, honestly.
Yeah, survival was the name of the game here. I think everyone outside of the top 2 had some kind of crazy incident or mistake or something like that to overcome. It was all about who made them the least, and it looks like it was you, because a podium here at Hockenheim, a fantastic points haul coming up to the halfway point of the season.
Yeah, I just wanted a top 5 today, honestly, and got that and more. So definitely gonna take it. It might be the only top 3 I get, but sometimes keeping it on the track is all it takes. So
yeah, indeed. Are you hoping for the same at Spa next week?
Yeah, I also might practice a little more for it because the Spa 24 is coming up, so I might actually have a little more pace there. But yeah, excited for Spa. It's one of my favorite tracks. So
all right, well, congratulations on the podium and the pole, Jacob, and hopefully we'll be chatting to you again in a week's time.
Yep, that'd be awesome. I'd be shocked too.
Well, you never know with this series. So thanks for joining us, Jacob. See you later.
See ya.
All right, Jacob Quayle in the number 9 has concluded his interview, and we are going to conclude our broadcast here, Zippy. Another great round of the Elite Entertainment Sportscar Series, sponsored by WBM Racing. I love these wet condition races. They really throw up something extra.
Yeah, definitely does bring out a little bit of an equalizer there, Reece. Certainly, myself, I've actually, despite not being a big fan of the rain, I find whenever it does rain, it's actually generally worked in my favor. Able to dance on the limited grip, and certainly a few people did indeed get down and boogie here at Hockenheim. But Reece, I think it's time to do the honor, sir, until next week.
Indeed. Thanks very much for watching, everybody, on the Pit Road Productions YouTube channel, whether you've caught us live or you're here later on. Thank you so much for being a part of this incredible show, and a big thanks to all the drivers and the crew at WBM and the Elite Entertainment Sportscar Series for making this possible. I'm Reece Gardner, Daniel Zippy Salmon alongside me in the comms box, and also producing behind the scenes here on Pit Road Productions. See you next time.